I want to give you my first impressions of Wild Terra 2 after over 3 hours. I did receive this key for free. So the idea is it's a very slow survival MMO. The food bar you see up here is not going to kill your character, but by getting different types of food, you essentially make it so your character will not lose stamina as quickly. There's a big animal taming system. I have a rabbit here. If you look here at the rabbit, you can see that you get random player and random pet bonuses. So there's some RNG with the pets from my understanding. Now you start out with a small little dominium and you can build out to a larger one. This is not mine. I have strayed far from my home. But this is another player's. You can build walls, keep people out, whatever you would like. As you see here, they have a drying frame. This is something that first caught me off guard. I kind of like it. When you make something, like in the drying frame, there is a real-world timer attached. I killed a bunch of goats, and I needed to dry the hides to then make gear. As you can see, I was too lazy to do that, and I left the starter island without fulfilling my quests. I will get into the starter island, but something that needs to be clear for anyone getting into the game, there's real-world timers. So I killed some goats, and it was going to take me 8.5 hours to dry it all using one drying rack. Getting a bigger drying rack or a better one would make it faster. I could make multiple small frames, but there are real-world times attached to these things, and I know some people don't like that. Also, mining and things are simply... If you like RuneScape and stuff, probably not that big of an issue for you. Pets, you get pets you can capture and then get different bonuses. I've seen someone on a dragon mount, so there's a lot of cool stuff you can catch and do all of that. Now, on the starter island, when you start, you'll get quests like this. These quests, I didn't understand this at the start, didn't really get it. You should do all of them. They're going to be like, make yourself armor. And then when you make the first piece of armor, it'll give you some resources back to help you make the next piece of armor. When you travel to the mainland, you can pack up your entire dominion. You can literally, as this player here, can walk over and pick this whole thing up. Everything stored can get packed in. He can move it as an undroppable item. It won't drop on his death. And go place it somewhere else. I wish I had stayed on the starter island and made sure I was max geared from the starter island. I left early on because I am impatient. I'm really feeling that impatience now, causing problems. Now, as for... Let's find it here. The crafting menu. It's pretty simple. When you need to craft something, you can go and search it, like Potter's Wheel, and I can go, oh, I need to have staves. How do I get staves? You can click on the staves, and it'll tell you you need poles, and it has to be made with a hatchet, or it has to be made with a workbench, things like that. Skills. You can click on a skill and see what you will unlock as you go. Passives and, of course, actives. So, here's an example. I have a bleed skill and a parry skill with my swords. From my understanding, combat is a little broken. What a lot of people do is they use backstab, and then they use a shield to, like, slam the enemy, and you can use that to cheese basically anything you want. But I'm just going to travel around and talk about my thoughts on it. So right here's a good example. I was at the Endless Swamp. Deadly area. If I die here, I will lose all my equipment. I lose my inventory. Well, I don't lose my equipment will be damaged. So anything attached to your actual character, your equipment, that's not what I wanted. Where is the equipment? Right here. This equipment's safe. This equipment will not be destroyed when I die, from my understanding, because I did die on the starter island. But it will be damaged. I can repair it, I believe. Free loot means other people can come and claim the loot. There's also PvP zones, which people do not like, or do like. It's kind of up to you. The game is very rough. If you are someone who has no problem... I don't want to go here. If you're someone who has no problem with a very slow-paced, survival, build your base, exploring type of game, this might be for you. If you're someone who's wanting a fully fleshed out MMO, it's early access, you're not going to get that. When it comes to things like these goats, if I can find something I can do combat with that won't run away too fast. Combat is literally... I missed. Combat is literally right-click and then use your abilities. Now, if I was smart, I could do range, I could have snares, things like that. I'm lazy. I don't want to do that. Now, I do also want to show it is very annoying if your stamina gets too low. And I'm just going to showcase some people's buildings and different houses. I believe you stay for... I think once you're on the main island, it's an extremely long amount of time that you stick around. Your buildings don't disappear. This is still, from my understanding, a starter area, which is why there's so much housing. I'm sure if I went farther out, there'd be less. Starter area is big on teaching you about godsends, which are essentially little loot caches you can find around the world. There is no in-game map, as far as I'm aware, but there is a map on the wiki. There's pretty active trade, actually. Here's something I wanted to show. That's why I've been running. When your stamina gets low, you get tired. If you get too tired, you basically stop running. And then when your satiety gets low enough, essentially your stamina stops climbing. Your stamina climbs faster the more equal your satiety is. So, like, me here, all I've got is some meat. So if I were to go and forage some hazelnuts, that would make my character have higher stamina, which you use for movement skills and attacking. But it's a very bare bones game right now. I think really what you're seeing here kind of showcases how bare bones it is. If you're not super entertained by the idea of building up your base and crafting or planting crops so that you can have a variety of food, probably not for you yet. I feel that this game can very easily entertain the RuneScape type audience, especially since there's PvP. It's a very simplistic PvP. Right click, and of course your skill bar. But I believe that this is a game that could be enjoyed better with friends as well. You know, make a shared grouping or put your dominions together, all that type of stuff. I'm about 3 or 4 hours in, and honestly, I can't find the drive to keep playing, and that's being said as someone that plays a lot of RuneScape. Now, downsides compared to RuneScape. Would be your resources move. So if you go chop a tree, you can't sit around with like a grouping of trees and chop trees forever. There is going to be a stop. It's going to stop spawning new trees, and they're not going to spawn in the same spot, and you're going to have to travel. Not a big fan of that. When I need to farm resources, having to just constantly run around. Like right here, as you can see, this is basically a resource drought. There's nothing here. So if I were housed up here, I could have copper here and then just not see it again and have to go travel. I don't want to say that's a bad thing that the resources aren't static, but it's something that got on my nerves personally. Really made it boring to me. I will say I do like the idea that I can go gather resources. I can head off for the day or for a few hours and have it doing its thing on a drying rack or whatever. I really like that. I like the fact that I can basically AFK the more boring parts. See, this is like such a resource drought, right? And this is, as I was saying, kind of my problem. It feels very dead. Now, it might just be the area I'm in, but I feel like I've seen enough to say that, honestly, in the current state, I can't recommend the game. If you're someone who likes RuneScape, likes survival, has a group of friends, maybe watch some videos, play the first couple hours. You should be able to play that with Steam's money back guarantee. That should basically get you through the starter island if you rush, or at least let you learn on the starter island. And if the starter islands seems like gameplay you'd like, I think you'd like the game. Definitely needs more work, though. I am looking forward to where it goes, and hopefully it gets more fleshed out. I would love to have something like this. If I'm remembering right, the idea too is they want to like open new areas up as it goes, like new continents. They have a plan, and I think the plan can work out well. I think this actually, in my personal opinion, I think this was too early for early access, if that makes sense. I feel like it needed a little bit more, and maybe a little bit more hand-holding, because even things that don't feel... There's things that you might think, oh, that's unfinished, and that might just be how the game plays, but it's hard to really make that distinction with how the game feels. Like, right now, I'm not seeing any resources. Is this a area problem? Is this due to the people's housing? I don't think so, because there was more housing and I was finding copper things earlier. Is this the design of the area, or should this be blamed on an unfinished zone? I honestly can't tell if this is what the developers intended. As you can see, it's still a complete drought. But here, and finally, I got 3 hazelnuts. Also, just certain things are a little weird. Like here, you need to eat a lot of hazelnuts, right, to get your bar up. Only eat 1 hazelnut. Little tiny bit there on that mushroom there. The problem is, you have to do this manually, or you can drag down here. But then, if I have to have 5 different things to eat and keep them in my inventory, I either have to have the 5 things and not keep them on me, or I have to keep them on me and use 5 of my 7 slots for food. I don't know. I think it's just going to have to be play at your own pace. See what you think about that starter area. If you're enjoying this type of thing, I kind of get, and this is like from years ago, I'm kind of getting like a Don't Starve type vibes. Like how slow it feels. At least I was slow at Don't Starve. So I can't recommend the game right now. I think it could do things in the future, though.